Um, All right, it is 7 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. Our first item is our flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I see Greg on there.
Oh, is that okay?
But
Filter is going to be panelists. All right. Miss Bullenbacher is absent. Miss Capitello?
Here.
Mr. Hof?
here,
Mr. Marks? Here. Mr. Oliverio?
here,
Miss Polkalnik is absent. Mr. Wozniak is online. Can you unmute, Greg?
and
About him?
At planning commission, he had a hard time with audio coming in as well.
Oh, okay.
So he's been promoted to panelist. He may have to rejoin to get that role, but Greg, if you get your audio sorted, let us know.
Okay. Mayor Barry? Here. Solicitor Corbel? I'm here. Engineer Baker? Here. Director Tedesco? Here. Chief Ford is not here, and myself, we do have a quorum.
great. Okay, our first item is our consent agenda. So we have the council meeting minutes all in the OneDrive of June 11th, the bill list from June 25th, and all of the reports. Looking for a motion to approve the June 25th, 2026 consent agenda, pending bill list approval by the borough president, manager, and treasurer.
So moved.
Ms. Tomatello,
Second.
Mr. Hof. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, opposed? Okay, motion passes 5.
Am I coming through now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Public comments on agenda items. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue appearing on today's agenda. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Comments on non-agenda items will be taken at the end of tonight's meeting. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Council has the option to respond or not at the end of the address, and our solicitor is the assigned timekeeper. Please state your name and physical address for the record.
Nobody signed up?
Okay. Anybody online, please raise your hand. Okay. All right, the president's report. And again, on construction projects, if you've noticed, there's a lot of construction in the borough, thanks to Scott. But asking for patience and knowing that these projects will be going on for some time throughout this year. We will have additional projects. They will be moving around the borough. So as you drive and as you're walking, just remain conscious of that. And in the end, that's how we have to get these things done, to have better roads and better amenities within the borough. All right, mayor's report.
So just a reminder, we have 4th of July coming up, and we do have state and local ordinance that forbids using fireworks within 150 feet of structures, cars, and roadways. Meaning we have very, very few places in the borough where it is legal to put off private fireworks. I want to remind people that if there are fireworks going on around you, please call 911 and our officers will do their best to respond and make sure that it ceases. My other item tonight is, by now, everyone has gotten their newsletter, and I want to point special attention to the full page poster about e-bikes, scooters, and other, micro mobility. I like that word.
I think that's on the top of that.
It is.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
but not used to using it. Anyway, all of us elected officials, almost every time we go out of the house, we have community members who are seriously concerned about children getting injured because they are not being safe on these vehicles. I want to stress that children's behavior and anything that happens is actually the parent's responsibility. I'd like to point out that e-bikes, you're supposed to be 16 before you can ride an e-bike. And we know that there are a lot of children that are much younger than 16 that we're seeing on these e-bikes. The e-scooters are actually not even supposed to be on the road. I want to also point out, emphasize, because people are concerned about what we're doing about it. Our officers are on high alert. They're doing a lot of stopping and warning and educating. And with some repeat offenders, they have confiscated the micromobility device and have required parents to come down for a little education before they release it. So you will be hearing about this all summer and into the fall, I'm sure. We're going to be putting out a lot on Savvy Citizen. The police department will be regularly posting more information, the same information on their Facebook page. And I will mention that our police departments are going to have a great presence at 4th of July, where they'll have more information and will be talking to people about trying to educate parents and youngsters about how to be safe on these micro mobility devices. So look for the command center at 4th of July. Also lots of goodies going out. Our chief and our officers are really excited. So some very, very fun things going to be going on there. So please stop by and say hello. And that's it for me tonight.
All right, great, thank you. Solicitor's report.
No public report this evening.
Okay, great. Manager's report, Mr. Futz.
Thank you. First up is I received a call this week from a resident of Ingram who regularly organizes an Ingram-wide yard sale. And they've been promoting that. And in that promotion, they've had more than 18 Crafton residents sign up. So they called me and said, would you be interested in cross-promoting it with them? So I didn't think that was my decision to make, so I wanted to bring it to you guys and to ask if it's okay if we promote this with this Ingram resident as a kind of a borough-wide yard sale for anybody in Crafton that wants to have a yard sale during that weekend, which is July 18th. Yep.
So I might mention that there is a concerted effort in Crafton.
Mhm.
And so it's really quite official. So I'm really kind of surprised that we've got
Oh, okay.
Crafton residents.
Yep.
So yes, I think promoting it as Ingram Crafton,
Yep.
borough-wide, but there is a organized effort here in town.
Do we know what date?
The
Is it
same date. The
Oh,
same
okay.
date.
Okay, so do we know who's organizing that?
I do not have that answer right off the tip of my tongue, but I'll get it to you tonight.
Okay, great. Then I guess I
Oh,
really,
maybe Justin does.
oh, yeah,
I'm fine with it.
yeah, just wanted a head nod, basically, that everybody is okay with me doing that. Okay, I'll once I get Coletta's information, I'll reach out. That's all I had for that one. The next up is a paving estimate discussion. Scott, do you want to start just by explaining the cost differences that we've seen in those, and then I can show them, talk about the budget that we have. This is for the paving, for paving those two roadways that we were going to pave this year.
Do you want the pictures up, Jim?
No, you might as well bring them up now, so that everybody can see them.
So we began looking at there's a few streets or two alleyways and a street. So Fountain Street between Promenade and Sycamore, and then alley at High Street. And then that would be behind the Linwood Park.
Correct.
And then also the alleyway that tees into the Linwood alleyway.
And that's what you're seeing right now. That's Marge's Alley right there. When a resident learned that we were doing the other alley, they requested that we also add this one, and you can see the images right there. It is in very poor condition. Basically, those are all potholes that have been patched, and it's getting to the point where you simply can't patch it anymore. Yeah.
So we requested Jim, we went out, we took a look at took measurements and put together a opinion of cost for completing that work. So the costs for those, we have current unit prices for projects that we have done this past year for road programs. Due to the poor condition of the alleyway behind Linwood, we do have a lot of base repair in there. It is in very bad shape. We're anticipating significant base repair just because of the shape that it's in. We're
Also,
also
want to start scanning through them. I will, once you get to the end of this section of pictures, you'll see what we're talking about. The worst part is absolutely behind Linwood Park. And that's where the base repairs are gonna be needed. Significant base repairs are gonna be needed.
And we're also looking at adding a wedge curb on this to try to help promote drainage and potentially take away some of the drainage issues that could be getting underneath the asphalt to do this. We are suggesting 3.5 inches of taking material out, 3 to 3.5 inches, and then putting that back with binder and wearing course. Due to its condition, I did talk to Jim, there is trash service that does travel these alleyways, which I don't think just taking the top inch or two off and putting that back and wearing course is the best approach to get any longevity out of these alleyways. So there were some significant changes from what was previously put together.
Yeah, and a couple additions. So we only budgeted $65,000 for both of these roads. The estimate that we got back from Gateway with these additions and then the price changes from last year, essentially doubled the cost of this project. We budgeted 65. This is now estimated to cost like 128. Is the cost, is that what it was?
Yeah, let's just say 129.
129.
And then we had the alternate for the additional alleyway,
Right, taking it up to around
149.
150, right. So my suggestion with this is both of these roads are in significant need of repair. They need to be paved hopefully as soon as possible. We also had budgeted $100,000 for brickwork next year, this year. However, because of the lateness of the year, we are not probably going to be able to get that done anyway. So I suggest we use that funding to do these two streets and possibly the add alternate. We're going to put in Marge's. I recommend putting in Marge's as an add alternate to this, and then going out to bid with these for our paving schedule. So the total would be around 150. We have between brick streets and paving this year, we have 165 budgeted. So we do have enough budgeted if we do that. And then we can budget again next year for brick street repairs and do them earlier in the year so that we're not stuck. But if you go back a little bit further, you'll really come back up the hill a little, about another 100, 200 feet. This is where the road is really, really bad. And this is behind the park where it's basically deconstructed. You don't even have a roadway there anymore in a lot of those spaces.
Yeah.
So
all the pictures that we've seen are all of Marge's Alley?
no, this is all of that little bit at the front was Marge's Alley. This is all the alley behind Linwood Park.
Right.
This is the Linwood Park Alley.
Is that Alley C?
I don't.
Yes, so
is
the
it
street
Alex?
that would be alley at High Street, so between Promenade and Alley, we're called Alley C is Marge's Alley.
Marge's Alley.
Between
Yeah.
Grandview and Linwood.
Yep.
this is the one that would go from Promenade to Orange's Alley.
Yes, correct. Right.
And which one's behind the park?
This is the one behind the park.
Which one? Marge's?
No,
or
no,
the other one?
Marge's is perpendicular. So
Okay.
Marge's is how you get to this alley.
Right.
And then the other, is this named? I don't see it
I
named
don't
on.
know if it is.
on
I
that.
couldn't see a name.
It has a name.
I don't.
Doesn't have any.
We can dedicate a name.
Oh, gosh. I guess it's all, I mean, aside from the condition too, it would really stink for us to pour all this work into Linwood Park, have this brand new parking pad and have people just roll
So to
across the
that
street.
point is timing, because we're gonna have all the construction at Linwood. So do we want to pour new road first or?
Well, this is built to trucking standard, so it shouldn't be at all affected by large vehicles.
But there's
Um,
construction and there'll
right.
be all that stuff happening.
But you're not talking about huge construction. You're talking about a couple concrete pads
Mhm.
and, so it's
But we'll be
not.
bringing equipment.
I realize that, but
Yeah.
otherwise you might have to wait till next year to pave these because of the timeline on the Linden property. I don't know, unless we can hold off.
It's just a timing, like we can kind of work through that. If it's something that we want to do, we can work through the timing of this in the park.
Okay.
If the timing's right, potentially with the parking, that when we bid that out, sometimes when you do this, they may just reach out to them, hey, for the parking pad, and they would take care of that with the paving contractor.
Yeah,
But it's not something that, like, we haven't done that in the past. Like, we can work through that timing if we want to proceed with it.
do you want to show them the Fountain Street just so they can also see that? This is Fountain. Fountain's not quite as bad, but it's also a much more traveled road. It does have some portions that have been patched several times. And it's definitely in need. It's rated a 4.5, 5 in our system out of 5, 5 being the worst. You'll see potholes and cracks and all through there. So that section also is in dire need of paving. So it goes just beyond this, and then that's where it stops. Yeah, this all hit this area here. But yeah, so basically, we would need a motion to approve going out to bid with this budget change. We could also push this to next meeting if we wanted to, but I just wanted to start this discussion.
How much of this was budgeted for?
We budgeted 65,000 for asphalt paving.
And because I had said to put together a budget to show what the budget was, the actuals and what this would be.
Yeah.
Because we also went into this for Clearview and Bar.
Right,
For
we
the
had
additional.
$15,000 additional was taken out of, so actually that puts us exactly at 150. Which is what the estimate is for this and the ad alternate. Now, we don't have to, depending on what the bids are, come back. We don't have to accept the ad alternate. But all 3 of these streets are in pretty significant need of paving.
So I walked that alley since our last meeting and it's terrible. I definitely think we should reallocate from the brick funds for this year to something that, clearly needs it more urgently. And we did not have a ton of paving anticipated this year because we have so much already embedded in the Broadhead project. So we've been trying to balance things out, but we did earmark funds for brick road repairs that, to Jim's point, we probably won't really get to this year because of seasons and weathers and everything else going on. So trying to address this, I'm on board with that. It was bad.
Yeah.
Even walking it did not feel safe.
What will be the weight limit on the new paving system that you're proposing?
It's just like a standard road. I mean,
Yeah. So standard truck weights.
yeah, I mean,
Because we have no trucks, right? We have a limit, a weight limit for our roads. I was just wondering what this new 3.5-inch base plus binder wearing, what you anticipate the weight limit for that would be.
Well, we have there, the weight limit is an open question because there are lots of signs around the borough that say 5 tons. But we also have trash trucks that drive around the entire borough that weigh significantly more than 5 tons. I think they range from 10 to 15 ton. So all of our roads need to be able to handle that. This alley will be built to the specs that can handle that. I don't know what the actual exact number is.
I don't know what the actual number
Yeah.
is for that.
Yeah.
But we would construct this as if it was just a road, like obviously Promenade to Sycamore
Will be the same.
is gonna be the same.
Right.
So from a budget standpoint, we budgeted 100,000 for bricks
Correct.
and 65 for paving. So 165, we spent 15, and then this comes out to be 150.
Correct.
So then the whole total would be done. Okay, my recommendation is that we would, because we didn't have any of this laid out on the agenda.
Yeah.
I think we need to put this so that the public can see what are the roads in case some of those residents want to come and talk.
Yep.
What they are for the next meeting. for
We can do that.
approval.
And I'll put a budget, I'll have the budget
Yeah.
on the agenda. Yeah.
So, did we not have roads scheduled for the paving and the brick? Like we obviously budgeted this money with a plan, or at least a list.
We didn't.
Oh, we didn't.
The $100,000 budgeted was just a round number that we did so that we could, at some point this year, assess brick roads and put them on for repairs. We, from last year's budget of $100,000 for brick repairs, we didn't get to that until well into this year. And that work is actually still happening from last year's budget. And we don't even have roads identified yet for this year's budget for brick. So it would take probably
That's fine.
a couple months to identify that.
Brick aside though, I know we have the Broadhead roads that like have been on the agenda forever. I thought we had a list, like I know we've done studies and whatever. We had a whole list of like things that are in disrepair because the folks drove around with robots or whatever and figured out what roads are in terrible shape. I guess I would be surprised that this alley shouldn't have been like super high up on the list. And Fountain, you said already had a rating and whatever. I was just curious if like we already planned on doing these two in the next year or something and we're just bumping it up, or if this is truly like a
During budget season last year, we budgeted specifically for these two roadways. As far as, so we did create a Violytics plan in 2024 with all the roads rated, so we knew what all the roads were rated. I've started now re-rating them, but it takes time to do that. So we'll have that assessment, but that rating only works for asphalt streets. It does not work on brick streets. So you have the assessment of a brick street is a lot more tedious because you basically have to walk them and get a general assessment of them and then go back, which we have not done yet. We just haven't had time with all the other projects going on. And so that's why the other reason I'm suggesting this is we won't get to the brick streets by the end of the year. So
I don't have any concerns on like using the brick money to take care of roads. Like it's road money, that's fine. I was just more curious about like if the 65K, if we were already planning on fixing this alley and fountain with that money and now it's just increased in cost.
It was already planned. It seems to be deteriorating a lot faster than maybe others, and maybe there are some structural reasons or water reasons why that's happening. But it was budgeted to do repairs, and it just is in far more dire need and seemed because of I'm not the expert here, but because of the rate of, assuming because it had deteriorated so fast, it's been, deemed to need a more substantial repair and a more substantial base. So that's where the increased cost comes from. But it was already budgeted to be.
Did Ewing have its own line item that we budgeted for? Okay.
we budgeted 100, and actually, speaking of that, we budgeted $100,000 for that. And
We're saving money.
67,000, so there's
Okay.
another 33,000
Yeah, okay.
from the road fund there too.
Yeah, that brings up a point. Do we have a list of priority roads? Did we finish our asphalt studies? I mean, we did that. We bought that program and all to do that. Was that study completed? And is there somewhere written down a list of streets by priority based on that study?
It's not a study. It's basically just an app that you use to get a general assessment. And we do have those from 2024, but it needs to be updated. And especially with all the paving that has gone on with all these other projects, I'm in the process right now of updating that. It shouldn't take more than a couple more weeks to do that. It's just a few hours every couple days to drive around and make the assessment. And then we'll have a better idea moving forward. But we do have what we got from 2024. We paved, and there weren't very many streets that needed immediately paved. We paved the worst ones that year. We picked the worst two for this year. And off of that information, and now we need to re-up the information, reaffirm the information to get updated information, and then we'll have probably by the end of July, I'll have new information about what streets should be the priority for next year. So when we talk in budget season, we'll be ready to have that conversation.
So from 2024, were all the streets done, and where is that information? So we could just take a peek at it from that information. We could maybe do a preliminary prioritization, so you're not running around for streets that didn't show up on that study as being, and I call it a study, but you're not running around looking at streets that on that study were in good shape. If that study was already done once and streets were prioritized by it, let's like prioritize what you're looking at first, so that
Sorry.
But to make your work a lot less, put it that way, and more effective.
It's actually not that difficult to do what I'm doing. It will only take, like I said, it won't take that much time to do it. It's really, once you get it in the system needs to process it. And sometimes each time it goes in, it takes like a week, like a day to a week to get processed. So it's not an additional lift. And we did do the worst roads in that study. So it really isn't as useful anymore because it's a couple years old. Some roads were already paved, other roads were done. So it really, just getting a swipe of the entire borough again is the ideal way. And that way we can also plan out the next couple years if we need to at that point, as opposed to just lopping off the few that were at the top of the list, which there's probably only a few from the 2024 list that really are at a place where they need to be paved again. So it's really better just to do the whole thing. I understand what you're saying, but I don't really think it needs to be prioritized at that level because that's what this app is for. It's really simple.
Just think we're going in circles here. I just want to remind everyone, we do this every year.
Right.
Infrastructure committee will look at it. There will be a report to council. Right. It will be discussed in budget season every fall. We look at that report again. We look at what we've assessed and what has changed, because roads are continuously deteriorating. We will look at where that report stands. We will look at the ones we've addressed, the next ones on the list. We will update that based on, visual assessment of what we've heard is degraded since 2024. This is a process we go through every fall, and we'll do it this fall too. We'll update that list. We'll discuss it in infrastructure committee. That new list will come to council. It will be discussed in budget. We have multiple months ahead where this will be a topic to prepare us for what we're going to be repaving next year.
And another point to looking at the whole borough is the data that will tell us the percentage of roads that have been paved and are in good shape. And that is just as important as what we still need to do.
It also gives you good information about how fast things are deteriorating.
Yes.
Right. So if you want to capture it every year so that you're getting consistent information about what, then you can start really looking at data and planning years out. But you need to collect all the information every year.
So I think the action here, and great discussion, everybody, is that for next meeting, we will have a motion plus information on the roads, specifically where they are, and a motion relative to the budget and what this expense would be minus what we also did on Bar and Clearview, the brick.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. And that concludes my section of the agenda.
Great.
Can we see that 2024 list? Is that on a OneDrive?
No, it's in the app. I think
There is a list. there's a list that Larry gave us during the.
Well, I can pull a new list. I
I
mean, it's,
mean, if Greg wants to look at, you know,
Yeah.
minutes and council files from past years, yeah, there was a list in 2024, there's a list in 2025.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, engineers report, Mr. Baker.
Thank you. So Broadhead Sewer Separation Project, Park and Belvedere continuing with curb and sidewalk. Brick restoration continues on Cornell, sewer trench work, North Emily. We are North Emily, by the end of next week, we anticipate all the pipe being in, which will be 100% of all the storm sewer pipe. They finished Belvedere today, gas line got relocated, so hopefully by the end of next week, weather permitting, 100% of the pipe is in the ground and we're working on curb, sidewalk, restoration and the roads.
What about the second section of Park? Is there going to be sewers there? There's no sewers, but it's just going to be
It
curb.
stops at Linwood, and then it's just curb, sidewalk and road from Linwood to North Emily.
Okay, okay.
Anticipate, so this past week, the Crafton Boulevard, the speed humps were installed. The driveways and parking lot on Broadhead were also paved, so that work is complete. Hopefully trying to get all the line striping done for the speed humps and the parking lot off of Broadhead complete here before the end of the month. Second round of paving, the major paving, the rest of the paving or additional round of paving early to mid July. So they're looking to get another chunk of it done. So the rest of Coulter, the intersections, portion of Broadhead, and hopefully one lane of Park and one lane of Belvedere.
Can you remind us what day that was meant to start? As of our last council meeting, it was going to start next week. And we talked about the timing around the 4th of July.
July 6th.
So it's shifted back.
They
So-
may be back on the 2nd for a portion, still working that out with them. But then the week of July 6th, there will be the bulk of the work.
Okay,
So after the 4th.
so starting after the 4th.
Yep. So yeah, mentioned about Park and then, you know, still coordinating with the contractor, so we are on schedule, so things are progressing, almost done with all the concrete work on Park. And then they'll flip over, finish the rest of half of Belvedere and then flip over to the other side for curb and sidewalk.
What about the curb that comes out on Belvedere, filling in the grass and all of those things? Well,
Yeah, they'll be working on that once they get kind of a lot of that done. They'll start temporary backfilling those areas to get them done, and then they'll probably wait more towards the fall to do the final restoration, planting grass. We don't want to do that now just
yeah.
because of the weather. So we're going to try to plan that out so where grass can grow without the excessive heat.
Right. Okay.
Green Street sewer projects, Jim, Steve.
yeah, there's basically, we're still working on.
We
did you see-
filed our declaration of taking and owners of council reached out yesterday or the day before. And it sounds like they are not planning to file preliminary objections and we're just asking to see some of our latest drawings, which
We sent
Jim sent today. So hopefully that won't end up in litigation other than perhaps value if we don't come to agreement. But it's all moving in a very positive direction as of today.
Thank you. The Crafton sewer system repairs, O&M, still working on to get a schedule for the mill and pave for excavation repairs, which was contract A by State Pipe. The repairs are all complete. That's the last piece of it. And then contract B for manhole and manhole lining. Materials have been ordered. Once those come in, they will start doing the manhole lining that were on the list. So that is in progress. Noble Linwood Parks, we have finalized the plans. We are projected to go out to bid. there were some add alternates to be considered.
I forgot to bring that list. Did you
I
have
don't
that
have
list?
And shoot, and I know what they are.
Yeah, so basically for each of the parks, we added an add alternate for paving, resurfacing the courts. And then we moved the lighting, some of the lighting, both of the lighting, actually, the pedestrian lighting and the court lighting to an add alternate so that we can pick and choose once we get all of it back in from the bid. And you can keep it, we can work on keeping it around 500,000 based on what we get back. So that's where we're at with that.
And that will come to council for approval after the bids are received, right?
That correct.
Correct, and I think with this one, like with the, still kind of working with DCNR to get paperwork to, before we go out to bid, to make sure that we have everything kosher, everything aligns, to make sure obviously there's no, funds that they wouldn't approve, like if we went out to bid, so we're still working through that with them, making sure I's are dotted, T's are crossed before we proceed, so. People's gas line replacements, be replacing the main on West Steuben from Thornburg Bridge to Walsh, that's July to October. Ewing Road, the work was
So
complete.
for People's Gas, we had some residents send emails to all of council, I believe, some specifically just to me and or the mayor. A couple suggestions were, and I think we need to be able to put together a plan of traffic of what we want to do. Some suggestions were to make Duncan two ways. Some suggestions, and including Maxwell. Some suggestions were to make it block traffic between 7 a.m. and 9 or rush hours so that people can't even turn there, similar to what Green Tree has said or has done on some of their roads. So there's been multiple suggestions because people use Duncan as a thoroughway to get away from that area. So I think we need to start thinking about what we can do better based on what we've already done on Steuben Street from a traffic perspective, based on some of these suggestions.
One of the things that I would suggest for the request to put up the signage blocking usage during certain hours is we're gonna put up the speed signs down there to assess what traffic actually looks like during those periods. Because looking at the map, I'd be surprised if they are used like they are in Green Tree, because they're not very direct routes. It adds a pretty good amount of time, and we were actually looking at the drive times to assess that, to see if we think a lot of people are using that as a pass through during rush hours, which is what that would apply to. And it doesn't seem like it would. So we want to collect some actual data during the day so that we can see what time traffic is actually going through there, because it would be a very big disadvantage for people living there if there actually isn't a significant increase in traffic during rush hour and then they can't turn on their own street during those hours. And in Green Tree, all of those roads are two-way.
Right.
This is a one-way street, meaning you only have one way in, which means you would have to continually go past your road and then come back to get in your own road, because there's no other access to that road during those hours. So we want to really make sure that that's an actually needed thing before we make that decision, I would suggest. And then for the one-way, two-way, one of the things that was done during this is coming from the business person's request, was just making it two-way in the little section that is after Maxwell, and not making the whole thing two-way, just so that people could get access to that business, which would be more cut off because of the road work on Steuben. I would suggest that as opposed to making the entire thing two-way, but with just recommendations.
And we had residents come when that suggestion was made before, and the people that live there did not want it to be two-way, and we've got these recommendations for not turning. So I think before we maybe have discussion, we're not the experts on all this, is to see if there's something that can be done
Mhm.
based on that area and based on what our past experience has been with the construction on that to
Yeah.
make sure that those residents aren't impacted because people just trying to cut. And a lot of the people aren't from here. So they're traveling on Steuben, they're not from here, and they're like, I've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And they go on Duncan.
Yeah, I don't know what the benefit would be for two-way traffic on the upper half of Duncan, because nobody's gonna wanna go towards the construction. You're always gonna go.
Well, they only want to be able to go towards it to Maxwell so they can get in the shopping district.
I'm just talking about the full length of.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Right,
agreed.
like, like that little short shoot, we did have that with the C20 project, and
Right,
I think there was minimal impact.
right. Yeah, that's why I was suggesting that, because it has been done before and it wasn't a big impact.
So I think some of the suggestions on the no turning and everything were temporary. So they weren't necessarily permanent.
No, I think they requested that it be a permanent change.
Before, but for this, I
Yeah.
think they were suggesting, we recommended that before, but as this comes into play, that moves forward to be for this time.
We have to do something, right? Because where the Duncan Maxwell intersection only has one way into that intersection right now, and it's
Right.
Duncan off of Steuben. So if we block access into there, there's literally people who live.
It will only be blocked for a very short, it would
No,
never be blocked.
I
It'll
get
only
that.
Be blocked for a very short period of time.
No, I
You
understand.
wouldn't want to do it for the whole project, maybe.
No, yeah, not for the whole project. I'm saying as long as we have some kind, okay.
I think we are again getting a bit ahead of ourselves. The idea of doing some analysis on what the patterns are and when the busy periods are will help us have this discussion in a more useful way.
Ewing Road, the repairs were completed. So we will be working through the final payout with the contractor for that, for the final cost, so.
And just to note, all the detour signs have not been removed yet. Some of them have been, Public Works is working on that, today, tomorrow. Hopefully I have it done, before the weekend to have all those detour signs removed as well.
Are we going to put up some just drive slow signs? We talked about some signs to, just help make sure that as we're going, people have been using it for walking and there has been no vehicle traffic on there for some time. So just to make sure that it's clear that it is a shared space. There is no sidewalk. People regularly walk on it, driving slow, watching for people walking in the street. There were a lot of people out walking on it yesterday. Paving looks great. There were actually no cars when I was on it. It was still all walking, but it is open to cars, and a sign of some kind would be good. Because we have to, get people used to the idea of having cars there again.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that. I also, this is another place that we should be putting the speed signs again. Just to assess like how significant the problem is. That is probably a better candidate for speed bumps as well in that area, because they're long extended stretches with no stopping and lots of walkers on the actual street. So it, but once we put the speed sensor there and get an idea of what the actual situation looks like, we'll have a better idea of making recommendations there.
Yeah, I don't know how soon it's needed.
Yeah.
But others might, keep an eye on it more. I was on it yesterday, there were no cars, so I don't know how quickly people will take up the pattern again of driving on it.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are already driving on it, but I haven't noticed speeding as an issue. I just know that, there has been a lot of walking activity on that. And so as it's opened up to cars again, a sign would be good.
Great.
Okay, Crafton Boulevard improvements, LSA grants, noted before extension was approved. Coordinating, Jim, you're coordinating that with the city.
Yeah, and that's actually the same answer for the next one too. We're just working on meeting with the city to get those projects moving forward.
Okay. So that's for the Crafton Elementary streetscape projects, as Jim mentioned. Road paving, brick plan priority, so the Brick Street repairs, again, once North Grandview, the water company is out of there, we will get back over there with our contractor to finish the brickwork, and that would close that project out.
I think we kind of skipped over H.
They're both
That's the
together,
same.
basically the same.
Okay.
answer for both of them is that we're trying to coordinate with the city.
Okay,
And then Broadhead, paving, Crafton Boulevard is done now. Working through the rest of it was in my Broadhead update, so. And that's it.
As far as Broadhead goes, right now that the pipes are connected or will be connected here very shortly, what did they end up, when did they end up doing the measurements to make sure everything is good from a stormwater collection, separation, whatever, right? They have to go do measurements so we can make, yeah, so we can make sure that we're inside of the consent.
That,
Agreed.
that cannot begin until roads are paved to, make sure we get the water into the inlets, as well. So as soon as we're fully paved out, we'll be looking to get the monitors in the ground to start monitoring that process.
After October, whenever we're all wrapped up then. Okay.
They do during a rain, right? They have
There's
to-
certain seasons they like to see it. We get some of this stuff done, we can get monitors in and still hit a portion of that season. So I'm hoping that we can get completed here sooner than later. And we can get those in the ground and start collecting some data.
One of the things I've noticed on the streets is are they taking away the drains that are like flat and go down and replacing them with grids? That's what I've noticed in some of the locations, especially like North Emily and Linwood, around those areas.
You're talking about the grate on the inlets?
Yes.
Yeah, so those are more of a vein grate, so actually
Right.
allows more water into them versus the traditional like safe grate that you would see.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they are, instead of the ones which is just like a hole, a tunnel.
Yep.
It's now this grate that's on top of them. Okay.
Yes. That's it.
Okay, great. Community and Economic Development, Mr. Tedesco.
Good evening, everybody. 82 Belvedere, good news is there is some movement. We have another interested party. I've been working my way down the list of bidders that came in now about a couple of months ago. They're going to walk through the property again sometime early next week. They're aware that is a unique contract. We're going to talk through that. They are not intimidated by that. In fact, they're excited to have the conversation. If this turns into a more nuanced negotiation, then we will bring it to executive session. But we have a template contract courtesy of the solicitor that protects us and kind of marches everybody through the process. So we'll see how close we can get to a signature to move this thing along. So that is 82 Belvedere. Item B, Tricog Land Bank Properties. No update from the land bank. So more to come on that when we get an update on their diligence. And then item C, this one is a first touch. We got a subdivision application. I'm going to share the screen here so I can show you. Sharing. Share this one. Just a few quick slides to summarize the application that came in. It is a parcel consolidation. Here's what the formal site plan looks like. Obviously, we've all seen these site plans, very complicated, captures everything required in the code that goes on here. Gateway Engineers has reviewed the site plan. The county has reviewed the site plan, which is required by law, submitted to the solicitor's office, no comments from the solicitor's office. Planning Commission approved this application, which is also required by law, at their Tuesday meeting. And we'll put a resolution for approval on council's agenda at your next meeting. So this is your first touch if you have any questions. So let me simplify what you just saw on the screen. Here's the location, the bouncing square coming in. This is Bell Avenue, just up from us. We are the blue dot in the middle of the screen that everybody can see kind of underneath Serafino's. This is where we are. So we're just up Noble on Bell, and we're going to zoom into that. And these are the three parcels in question. You can see the parcel in the middle is empty, does not have any structures on it. What the applicant would like to do is combine two parcels into three and split the ownership with 17 Bell, which is on this side here. The private side of this conversation between 13 Bell Avenue and 17 Bell Avenue is all worked out. So this is a mutually, we're part of the public process. They have a private transaction going once this goes through, essentially just to increase their side yards. So that is the sum total of this application.
Who owns the middle property?
13 Bell Avenue owns the middle property.
Who is that?
That's the Palmer side of the subdivision,
On the
which
left.
is why it's called the Palmer subdivision. That's
Oh.
correct. Yes.
Hmm.
So pretty simple, doesn't require public hearing. There's no new development. It's a minor parcel consolidation, 3 parcels into 2 parcels.
Do we know anything about the history of that middle parcel? How long has it been vacant?
I don't, not off the top of my head, no. No. So. Any questions? Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Greg. Do we Kirsten was just touching on, so we don't know, do we know if there's any back taxes or anything? What's attached to that vacant piece of property? Is it it's owned by Palmer's? They've been already up to date with all their taxes and stuff?
Yeah, they're clear. They're upstanding citizens with that parcel.
Okay. All right.
Greg, this is Steve. It wouldn't matter if they weren't anyway for purpose of this decision. You have to judge this based on what the code requires, and they meet all the code requirements. So if you would deny it on that basis, they could take us downtown on an appeal, and we'd probably have to pay their lawyer fees. So
Okay.
it is an interesting question, but it doesn't have any bearing on where this goes.
And it already looks like they've functionally split that lot with a couple of small trees or something. So they're kind of already using them as individual side yards already. So
No decision needed tonight, right?
No decision needed.
Next agenda, we'll have it on.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tedesco. Standing committee reports, Finance Administration, Sustainability, Mr. Ho.
Thank you. So we are about halfway through the budget year or financial year, however you prefer to label it. And the good news is that looking at the budget, pretty much all major budget line items are trending mostly as expected. There are no major red flags or anything that's of high level of concern. Did want to point out that real estate income taxes are trending a little behind. That was similar to last year. We'll be watching those to see if and when they catch up. Also on the agenda here tonight, there is the list of the 3 different funds, the major funds, the general fund, road fund, and sewer fund, that shows the budgeted income and expense for each. It also shows the actual of where we are currently through May 31st. The percentage over and under, I wouldn't focus too much on that because sometimes things come in at different times and in different quantities. But the really important one is the actual and then the last year column so that you can kind of see where trends are at. And as you look at that, you can see that we're trending very similar to last year. Budget doesn't fluctuate dramatically from year to year typically. So the fact that we're trending pretty much on point with last year is a good sign. We'll continue to watch the budget to actuals in the second half of the year. That is typically when a little bit more of a hawk eye is put on things to kind of see where we're going to end up at the end of the year and if there's any overages or underages that we can anticipate. So for the most part, financials are good. On the administration side of things, there really is no update regarding the Public Works collective bargaining agreement. We're still awaiting on their union vote. And that is really all I have for the Finance Administration and Sustainability Report, unless anyone has any questions.
Can you just explain briefly what's going on with the road fund? We have a much higher number budgeted than we've spent yet. Can you just kind of give an update where that's coming from?
Yes, you want me to fill it in? The budget, a good portion of that budget is a end of year transfer to accommodate the things that we have budgeted for the year. And those items are what we just talked about, the paving, the brickwork, and Ewing Road. So our expenses will start to look significantly higher than our income because we typically do that budget transfer at the end of the year. So that's what and that budget transfer is for $400,000 or in that ballpark.
And compared to last year, the actuals were also at this time much lower than the budgeted amount as is tradition.
Just the difference between them, I think the extra explanation helped.
That's sure.
All right, infrastructure and land use, Ms. Gontallo.
Sure. So, update on the DCNR, GDTF, it's two different funding sources, two different grants we received for both for the pool area improvement grants. Funding we have totals $404,700. We are working with DCNR compliance to finalize the scope and the bidding procedures and aiming to go out to bid with that next week. Really no major updates or changes. We discussed this in more depth at the last council meeting. These are pool improvements, a few minor things that we'll be doing during this pool season, doing in-house, but most of the bigger improvements will be done after the pool season. It will not affect pool hours or functionality at all. But we're aiming to have a nice new slide next year and a couple other fun new features and overall improvements. The other item is well, actually, this one's a little bigger. So I'm going to insert before I forget, just a quick agenda, just note for everyone's awareness, we are a member of Connect, the Congress of Neighboring Communities, and I just wanted to give a call out. We did host the Connect meeting for this month. It rotates between all the different member municipalities. So we hosted a number of other municipalities here in our borough building just last week, and that went really well. So we had a lot of people kind of impressed with and complimenting our borough building, our council chambers, our staff who did such a great job. Mike set everything up. Just wanted to give a shout out to the fact that we hosted that.
Especially thank you because I dropped that on him a week before it happened. So thank you.
Not only we hosted, we got a lot of good props for it. So I thought that was worth sharing. So then the other item that is on the agenda for me to give an update on is our DCED $325,000 grant. This is for our pedestrian and business district improvements down by the Circle and East Crafton Boulevard. We have been talking about this for the past year or so. We did give some updates last time. We were waiting on a final plan. So I'm going to pass it over to Mike to kind of talk us through. We have that plan now, and we have some discussions tonight about the exact lighting style to choose.
Yes, thank you. So what you see is the 99.9% final plan for downtown. As you might recall from our last council meeting, because of the previous infrastructure meeting, due to costs associated with lamp posts, we could only afford like 7 lamp posts, and we'd have to dig up all the sidewalks and then replace all the sidewalks and install the lamp posts and the conduit and all those things. So it was very expensive. So we pivoted toward, I will scroll down and show you because Scott put in a great little image in here, toward these poles that you see on the left to hang string lights, crisscrossed, upstots, and then hung linear with Crennel?
No, East Crafton.
East Crafton, thank you. Hung linear with East Crafton down the road. And then up at Fig Tree, the strip on Crafton Boulevard that includes Fig Tree. So there is a string light plan, and the big conversation for tonight really is to get a sense of these string lights. What do they look like? What can they do? We have a general sense of expenses. That gets a little more foggy, and we need more diligence around that. But I mean, really the big conversation tonight is a decorating conversation of downtown. How do you want the lighting to look? And toward that end, we have options. And thank you to Scott and Gateway for putting this together. Council, you have hard copies of this in front of you. It's a 2-pager. The tricky thing with string lights is finding string lights that allow for the full color palette, including white. Lots of string lights will just do the RGB and not white, and then other string lights are just white. So finding the full color palette is a little tricky. And then also we want to be able to control the colors. So a little platform device where we can switch colors depending on what month it is or whatever we're doing. Just the option to switch colors is pretty cool. So these are some design options, and let me scroll to the other page so you can kind of see them.
And I'll just make one mention real quick to explain. There are 5 options. Each, you're seeing multiple pictures on each page. The image, 2 images, the 2 blue images are one. The second one is the circles above and below are the same lights. So there's 2 pictures of each light. And so there's 5 options that we can consider. And they are different in size and a number of others. Yeah, just wanted to show you how they're set up on these pages so you can understand it.
Yeah, so the first one here on the left, Visa lighting, the sequence. So that particular light is RGB only, so it is only color, or you can get it in just white. It does not have the option to do both. So, yes, so that was kind of a little bit of an item there of trying to find like different options and styles that provided both for RGBW. Right, so RGBW means it can do color, but also just regular white light. So that's one option. We wanted to provide it just in case you just said, nope, we want all color, like that is an option. The second one is RGBW. So those ones are more of a traditional globe. It is about 5 inches diameter. The spacing between them, those are 24-inch on center. That's typical for those. So there's a kind of a picture there, kind of like hung up in an outdoor setting of kind of what that would look like. The option here to the left, that is the Hunza. That has a black casing around the outside of it. Down, it is RGBW. I believe for that one, there is like an app and stuff for you to be able to control it with the lighting. Next option is Maxi Lantern, also again, RGBW. So the length of that is about 6, we'll just say 6 inches, 5.9, 6 inches high. And then I believe it's like just a shade under 2 inches in diameter. That one also comes in an option of a globe, but that globe is very small. It's only like 2.5-inch globe, so probably a little bit too small. So not something that we would suggest to do. And then they have like a clear lens, frosted lens for that one. And then the last one, just a little bit different. The Lumistick, again, the one that we were thinking of would be a total length of 24 inches. So the kind of the gray casing that you kind of see at the top is 12 inches. That is consistent for all of the different lengths. And then the bottom half would be 12 inches. And that is, so you would see the color obviously through that entire piece. So the one thing to note here is we need to be 20 foot clear of the roadway for these lights. So if you do choose something that is a little bit longer of a light, I would suggest not going much more than the 2-3 would be pushing it. I think we can come up with something to make that work, but I would stick in that 2 foot to 3 foot range for that. You don't want anything longer. We do have to be 20 foot clear of the road, just for any potential snagging by a truck, ladder truck. So
isn't the pole exactly 20 foot high?
we have, well, for that option that was a lights, there are other options. We could actually raise the concrete base for that.
Okay.
Like if we raised it 2 feet, like it's sticking out of the ground, that could raise that actual pole to accommodate that additional 2 feet.
So I guess I'm surprised we didn't go to like 21 foot.
Well, we
poles,
can look at that.
24 foot.
We're gonna look at other poles too, depending on the light we choose.
Correct.
And for the luminous one, if you want to go back to that image, just to give you an idea, that picture at the top with the 3 lights, the one all the way to the left in that smaller picture is the 24-inch one. So it's half of the internals and then half lit. Just so you know what it looks like. The 3-foot one is the second one over, and the last one is a 4-foot one. So we'd really only be able to do the first or second one if we chose those.
And that casing at the top, the housing for the light, there's color options for that. It doesn't just be gray, it could be black. I think there's white. I think there's a couple different colors that you could choose from there. So do have some options with that.
I like the globes, the second option that is, not incredibly long, but you also have a nice like dispersion of them. So it kind of disperses the light. It'll look nice. Won't be too overwhelming when you're right under it, but it also is nicely visible from a distance. I really liked the first version until we found out that it doesn't have white as an option. But I think that second option is probably the one I like.
Speaking of white light, when you say white light, does it vary from tungsten to daylight Kelvin temperatures, or is it only a single version?
No, I think you can choose like the temperature of light that you would want for the white.
Okay.
I think these are the things I'm like.
Meaning you can adjust it at any point in time, or
I don't know the answer.
Not necessarily. It looks like it's going to differ. Like I was just trying to Google. I was literally looking some of the stuff up, like this, the Visa lighting, which is goofy. These two pictures don't look anything like the same light, but that's the same thing right off their website. But like lumens, you can, you get a 750 to 1100 range on the Visa, but you only get 55 lumen per bulb on the Tivoli. So it's not going to be very bright. Maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. Just, heads up. You only get 5000K on the Tivoli for the white. Which
on the
is
Tivoli, you only get
which is
5,500.
That's daylight. 5,000.
It looks
for the
terrible
white.
at night.
So
There's a lot of people like myself that are very color sensitive, and it's 5,500K looks blue at night.
The thing that kills me is, as somebody who has played with a countless number of consumer brand smart bulbs that have white, have color, have one or the other, or different brands. Geez, like even the advertising sheets don't really do any justice short of actually just seeing them. So I wish I could see them. Because these spec sheets will all look and sound great. Everybody has great marketing departments, I'm sure. But really, it's not going to matter until we actually hang them. And man, it's going to stink if we hang all these and we hate them or the neighborhood hates them or whatever for various reasons.
Do we also know, like I know with the Tivolis, you indicated the spacing of them, but what is the spacing of the other lanterns?
That came right from the manufacturer.
I'm pretty sure that the Tivoli and the Maxi LED are fixed positions. The luminous, the Hunza, and the I'm not sure about the Visa, but that one doesn't matter anyway because it doesn't have the options that we want. But for those, the luminous and the Hunza, I think we can decide where they go. So we could space them as close or as far apart as we want, but we have to confirm that. We
would get a photo in whatever option we're going to get. We would get a photometric plan to show the photometrics of. So I think on the plan set, there was a photometric plan there. That was for the Hunza light. So we were looking at next page.
Well, that's the end.
Go back. Keep going back. Right there.
Zoom out.
Keep going up. Yeah.
Zoom out.
Kind of zoom into. Yeah. Zoom into Stotts there. So with a spacing with a Hunza light, so that was a little bit different. So that has a casing on the outside, just kind of the light underneath. You're looking at 3 to 5 foot candles across that street.
Which is brighter than the lights on Crafton Boulevard, or about as bright as the lights on Crafton Boulevard, right?
Yeah, I don't think you want anything to, like, if you start getting in the 10 to 12, That's used car parking lot, like you don't, or, you know, you don't want something that bright, so,
We don't want to overwhelm. We want it to be, welcoming,
yes.
pedestrian level lighting, but not overwhelming. The only thing I don't like about that one, that Hunza is, unless I'm misunderstanding this, the black casing means that, from a distance, people driving through the circle aren't really going to see it. I think we want it to be something that's visible at a pedestrian level, but also as, you see it driving through, we want people to be drawn up that way. I just want to also kind of clarify for all of council what we're discussing here tonight. We do have a motion that's on the agenda, which we can proceed with. We don't have to. We could put that off to next time, but we have a few steps. The lighting itself, we would probably acquire through a direct vendor. So that does not need to be a part of what we put out to bid. But deciding on what kind we want might affect what goes out to bid. So we do have a timeline if we want this to be done this year to try to get the construction portion of it out to bid as soon as we can. If not at this meeting, then hopefully by the next meeting. We do have a bit of a timeline for that. The lighting itself, we can keep taking some time to refine our decision, but again, like the overall design of it, we want to have an idea of which direction we're going so that we know what needs to go into the construction bid. So there's two decisions to make. One is a bit more urgent. They don't have to be made at the same time, but they do kind of inform each other.
Yeah, because we do have to kind of give a direction to a contractor on which light we're doing now. You do put something out, it's always an approved equal, as we have to with public bid. So could be somewhat in the similar family, but we need something in general to kind of provide for them to actually bid on. Because of the price difference of each light, which, working on getting the pricing for all of these, like it didn't have them all, so there is a cost associated with that.
So a couple of things are, as I'm thinking of it, we have different weather here, so durability of them, I'm thinking like the globes might not be as durable as maybe the straight ones. If snow gets on them, what happens? Are they going to be good in all temperatures, 90 degrees to -10, which is where we go. The other thing is, what do they look like during the day? So like right now, we're going, 6 a.m. till 9:30 at night. What are they going to look like? Because they're not going to be on, they're just going to be hanging there. So do they look appealing like the black ones may not look as appealing as something else that would be there and during the day, because they're only going to be on. And then is it all night? Are they on all night or are they on?
You can control it.
Yeah.
So that is something you would probably dim them after midnight, maybe even dim them further at 2 a.m. But you'd want them on all night. They would just be varying color temperatures and brightness. And then we had talked about, during March, you do green and during,
red.
so you can change that all year round. Christmas, you got multicolored and all. So, yeah.
And they all have the option to be dimmed intensity wise.
I believe so.
Yeah, we're still working.
Sorry, I'm a lighting nerd.
Yeah, we knew this, which is why we got all the additional information that we got. We knew this was gonna be a big conversation, so that's fine, and that's why we.
Like I said, we got as much as we could for tonight to put in front of you guys, at least have something to take a look at and consider.
Is there a big price point difference between these 5 options? We don't know that either. Okay.
Can imagine. I mean, like even the Hunzas, you look them up, you can select the materials. They don't have to be black plastic. They can be bronze or olive green or silver, some other kind of metal, aluminum. They have different beam angles. You can select what the white color temperature is, but you have to pick one. It's not adjustable, right? So it's not like a Philips Hue bulb where you can set it to warm as heck or blue office lighting. Like, I mean, I have questions. There's certain pieces of data on some of these that don't seem to be on others, like what's adjustable, what's the life expectancy of the LEDs, what's the price points, lumens, the white warmth for each of them, if it's like what's configurable, what do we have to pick from here? It seems like I appreciate the simple presentation. I think you put too many lighting nerds in front of not enough data.
Is there a way to get samples?
We're working on that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
we
that.
don't know if we'll be able to get samples for all of them
It
in a
depends.
timely manner, but we're working on that.
Can we review a bit what we need to know in order to do the construction portion? Because that's the more urgent piece. This is the first time we're all seeing these
Yes,
specific lighting styles, and we still do need some information. The biggest piece of information that we know is going to affect the construction portion of it is that we don't know the full cost of each of these, so that will affect how much we have for construction. But if you could just kind of describe what the variables are, what do we need to know to go to
I
construction?
think the big is kind of the style of light, right? Like, because it affects the pole height, like that's probably your biggest factor, because if you do the long, like a tubular type light, it's 2 foot long or 3 foot long, I may have to adjust the concrete base for the light to be able to get that 20-foot clear of the roadway. So if it's the globe light at, 5 or 6 inches, then yeah, no, like we're pretty much standard there. But so I think that is probably the biggest decision. Do you want something that's more like tubular as like the Visa or the Lumistick, or do you want something that's a little bit smaller, like the Tivoli or the Maxi Lantern? Right? Like,
Why wouldn't we just get a
Bigger pole.
Why don't you just get the bigger
That's what-
pole and then
yeah,
you get whatever?
Right, and then we don't care, right?
because of the cost.
How much is the?
Yeah,
Bigger pole is more cost.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So I think it's just,
Yeah.
you're already gonna have a concrete base for these poles, right? Like a 20-foot pole. So to have a little bit more concrete versus a taller pole.
When you say a concrete base, you mean like we're gonna have like a concrete, like there's gonna be a pad sticking up out of the ground that the pole would be, it's not gonna, yeah, I know there was a picture, but it looked like okay, that looks like a metal cover on the bottom of it, not like a concrete.
Correct.
The concrete
Right.
So
holds it in the ground.
Yeah, if you're doing more of a traditional bulb, like the shorter one, that's what you get. But if we can get a taller pole, again, it comes down to cost, or you can just have a little bit of extra concrete at the top. Like you would see, if you go into a parking lot and you see the lights in a parking lot, the concrete base that sticks up out of the ground,
They're the
we
circs.
would have to,
Yeah.
Well, right, but the concrete sticking up out of the ground in a parking lot doesn't matter. A concrete base sticking up where people are walking
Yeah.
is gonna be different.
This is also part of that cost conversation is that concrete pedestal more expensive or cheaper than the light pole being longer?
Yeah.
And then also.
Can't we just do alternative?
Yeah.
Right, and
For all the different.
Yes.
Concrete.
Concrete, where
How much for a pole? Get a small, get a big.
concrete wears
Then
over
when it-
time, like.
It all comes back. Hopefully they'll have already had a chance.
Yeah.
To review the lights and make it, and it'll be easier to decide. Just pick and choose.
Yeah.
Like
Might not be a bad idea.
option.
yeah, again, it comes, like I said, with the light, like, we have to provide something for the contractor to actually bid,
Yeah.
right?
So
That's,
for our next council meeting, this is not super surprising. We knew there's a lot of information. We're still trying to get information, so we kind of had a sense we'd be punting on this motion. But for the next council meeting, we will not have yet had an infrastructure committee meeting. Timing wise, we won't have had it yet. I know that we do have a bit of a timeline if we want to get this done this year. We do need to actually, because of the grant needs to be used. So we have to have construction done by the end of this year. We just need to get the poles in the ground. Again, the purchase of the lights is a totally separate thing. We have all the way, I mean, we can purchase them all the way into December. We could keep looking at that, but we do have to figure out what kind we like in terms of how it affects the pole. So for the next council meeting, can we aim to have more figured out costs for each of these? And if there are specific questions from people who know far more about lighting than I do, we can kind of put those together and prepare those, share those in advance so that we can have Gateway do what research they can. If we have to I mean, hopefully we're able to at least go to bid on the construction piece next week. So if we can be trying to position our questions and our research to get ready to have as good an idea as possible on at least what size we would like. That's really the key piece, right? The key piece is to be able to go out
Yeah.
to bid for
Is there
construction.
any that you would eliminate?
I think
Yeah.
eliminate the first one.
The Hunza is gonna probably not look great. The luminous ones will look nice, but I don't know if they make sense. I don't, but I mean,
I think the
these are,
ones that you can eliminate right now are the Visa lighting one and the Hunza one, so you're only looking now at because those don't do, they only do white, and then the black one, like we've talked about, isn't very well lit up and doesn't achieve the thing that you want, so you really have the Maxi LED, the luminous, and the Tivoli to do the assessment on this.
I also don't know why would we frame this up with specific requirements like that? Why can't we just frame it up with like outdoor lighting needs to support white and RGB, and then needs to be like the final solution needs to be able to clear 20 feet, like the 20-foot traffic requirement. Let them figure out the poles and the lengths of the bulbs and the
Because you have to give
shapes
that
and
to, you have to give that to them
be part
during
of
the
the
bid
bid.
you have to
process.
give them the shape of the bulb.
Yeah,
Well,
because they're buying it and it's gotta be in the bid process.
They're not,
They're not
they're
buying,
not buying it.
we're buying that
The-
portion.
The lighting purchase
Right.
would be in the bid, but they need to know
I get it.
what kind of thing they're building it to support.
Right,
and how
and the
high it
pole
would be.
length, and so they do need to know then what type of light we're buying. And there's spacing issues with some of these lights, which we don't know that stuff yet. We really kind of need to know all that stuff before we make the decision.
Yes.
So we're bidding out the lighting and the pole and the labor and all this stuff separately.
We don't have to bid out the lighting. We can purchase that.
We can just purchase it on
Under.
CoStars or on a bidding site.
We don't need we don't need to hire a contractor.
So then why do we care about this right now?
Because the height, because the size of the pole and the base and.
I'm with Steve. Buy a 24-foot pole and let's not
Yeah.
talk about it anymore. It's eliminate 2 or 3 or however many, I don't know, like we adjust it. I don't know. We
Yeah,
can't.
it's just something, it's not, I don't think it's just as easy as buying a 20-foot pole, because certain lights may only go to a 20-foot pole. So like that's what I mean, like there's some of that stuff that we have to look into.
The lights going to a 20-foot pole, we have a traffic clearance. We can't avoid that. Like we have to have the lights higher than that. So one of the
Right,
requirements.
if you get a different light, what he's saying is, if you get a light that's only 5 inches tall, you don't want to have it 24 feet up because
No, I
now
know.
lumens won't affect it.
No,
But
I
if you get one
agree.
that's larger,
Mhm.
then you do need a higher pole. So,
Yeah.
and we just need to figure out we need to figure out some of those
The
answers.
fun part about a 24-foot pole, guys, is you can hang it with 3 foot of offset and get it as close to the ground as you want without us hitting traffic problems. Yeah. I mean, couldn't we just buy the poles and do all that labor and then just buy the lights later? I'm not saying that's a great option, but like if we're trying to fit things in budget, why don't we just do the work we can grant fund now with the intention of hanging lights off later, as long as it doesn't jeopardize the grant funding? And then we can take our time, we can test things out, we can figure out whatever, put the big poles in and figure it out later. I don't want to like delay it looking nice, but I also don't want
I
to
think
pull
it's
the,
like there's other things that could be a part of, like a given light system might have a component that I just think we need a little more information before we can say, this is what we're gonna go out to bid for. And we're only talking 2 weeks. And we should have significantly better information in 2 weeks, but
Scott, for the clearance, because that street goes like this. So is it going to be the same poles the whole way through? And I'm thinking of like an Amazon truck or a PAT bus or
you have to keep
a
it,
dump truck.
the 20-foot rule gives you 7.5 feet, 6.5 feet above the highest vehicle that exists, including
Okay.
ladder trucks. So that.
So that's what I
20
wanted to ask Scott
Yeah, yeah,
about to
yeah.
make sure. So
Yeah, you're gonna hang the same height pole. You're not gonna step the poles, like you're gonna keep that consistent. So it's gonna go with the road. And then on East Crafton Avenue, you'll have supplemental poles because, well, and that's the other part of it is each light is different. So for instance, the Hunza light, that's 70-foot pole spacing. It may not be 70-foot pole spacing for that, so it takes into the count of the number of poles that you would need to hang the lights. So for the Hunza light, I got 70 pole spacing, we are planning on attaching these to the power poles. And then you have to supplement. You can see at the top, there's 3 additional poles up there on East Crafton Ave, and then 3 on the other side of Stotts. 6 additional poles just to get your 70-foot spacing. Now, if you go to a Tivoli light or something, the other one, we may not need those extra poles. So there's a lot of different moving parts based on the light, which I know it's kind of overwhelming. I understand that there's some more information that needs to come from us for you guys to make a decision, but
Are these lights all coming from the same vendor? Like,
Nope.
is it all coming from City Lighting or some lighting that
No.
company that has all these options to just go to one vendor and say, okay, give us the lowdown on all these options, or are we talking about a different vendor for each type of light?
There's a couple that come from the same vendor of lights, but then there are a couple that do not. That are separate. So
Okay. I'm just saying, get everybody in the same room and figure it out real quick. If we were just with the same vendor, that would have been easy.
So again, I'm still not clear on Stotts, because Stotts goes to a slope. So do you put the same poles on the side, because the sidewalks aren't, it's a slope, so.
Yeah, but that's what he said, you put the pole, it's still 20 feet tall. So the next one's 20 feet tall, so it's 20 feet above the roadway in that space. So it is going up, just like the roadway
Right.
is. And so they are sloped, the lights will be sloped going up that hill. And then they'll level off when they get on East Crafton.
Okay.
So
Do you want to also go through the other items? Because we've just talked about the lights and we didn't talk about all the other.
Those are the only items that have changed.
yeah, there's no.
In the original, yeah.
Yeah, all the rest of this has not changed in months, really. We've talked about minor tweaks to just mostly the changes have been focused on where can we fit the lighting, how much concrete needs to be moved in order to get in each light post, and how could we reduce some of that, because the amount of concrete work, not the cost of the lamps themselves, but the cost of the concrete work was pushing us over budget. The lighting is really the big item here to decide, and it is lots of options. We have the plan itself is pretty set. It hasn't changed. The only change has really been, and we did discuss this last time, that instead of doing standalone lights where each light has to have wiring to it, we will be doing these new types of poles that don't need to have wiring to them. That saves us on the concrete work. And the string lights will carry the electricity through the string lights themselves. So the poles do not have to be electrified. That's really the big update here. So if we all have questions about the plan itself, we can ask those questions. And then the big question beyond that, is what happens above that? What is the design of the light that we purchase? And these are all things that are available through CoStars, right? These have been vetted, that these are products that we can purchase from a vendor directly through CoStars.
Pretty much any commercial vendor at this level has stuff available through CoStars. I have not worked with any lighting or any folks that don't have that availability.
And
I don't think we've checked it, but we've never had an issue before.
I don't think we're definitely not making a decision on this tonight, but is there any preference, or do we need time for all of this? Is there any preference so far from council? It sounds like we do want lights that can accommodate white and color. Is that fairly consistent? Is there any preference or thoughts yet on whether you like things that are more linear and hang down, or things that are more kind of regular and periodic? Again, we don't have to make a decision, but I think if there are preferences or directions that we'd like to lean into that we can give to Gateway, then they can help, focus more on gathering the details and maybe other comparables for those.
I like the max LED. I think it allows it looks more, I don't want to say professional, but it looks more classy. And again, if it's weather, from the weather side, if that's there, being able to handle all the extreme temperatures, and they would look good during the daytime, according to what I can see there.
These are all outdoor rated, so for wet conditions, so we do.
Wet, snow, cold,
Yes.
hot.
I actually don't like the maxi. I think it's kind of ugly.
Well, again, we're looking at a picture too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's,
Anything with a plastic like body is not going to look great after the sunlight beats on it for a couple of years. So if the Tivoli are actually some sort of glass, that would be preferable. RGB is nice to have, though I don't know that I would flag it as mandatory. Like as long as we can get some nice shades of white and warm light in particular, so it doesn't bother everybody, I think that's probably okay. Like the RGB, again, nice to have, but you end up compromising. Usually when you have color bulbs, they're not going to be as bright. And how true they get to the 60 million colors or whatever they claim is arguable to the plain eye, especially with a budget like ours. It's not like we're buying professional lighting here. We're buying on a budget. Yeah, if you made me pick today, it would probably be the Tivoli ones, but that's I would still be nervous about them until I see them.
So we can each do some additional kind of research into these things, and we can also gather any particular questions. I know we've talked about the shade of the light, the degree of intensity, definitely the cost, to try to get more of those details nailed down for the next meeting.
Yeah, and like I said, these all have a color option. So if you went to something to just white, there's a whole lot more other lights that are just white. So like, if you did go that route, like you kind of like, that's where there's a gazillion options, just like vehicles, like make, model, everything. So it was our understanding some type of color. So that's kind of where we went with this, with different options. So
I would echo what Mr. Mark said, that white, if it's a good shade of white, isn't necessarily an issue for me. I'll be researching these a little bit too, but I know with the color changing lights, sometimes there is a problem. And I'm sure this has to do with the quality of them too, but we would want to make sure to avoid this. With the color changing lights, sometimes you can get an aura where you see all the different colors that are feeding into the combined color. Right, some of you have seen this happen. And that's really annoying. Sorry, make sure I'm close to the microphone. We definitely don't want that. That is really bothersome for people to see. So we want to make sure that if we have color changing lights, that it doesn't have that kind of aura effect.
one thing to also remember is that there is competing string lights right next door. So the Circle Inn has string lights on the deck patio. And they are like a gold color. I think it's white, but it looks like gold or yellow. So there will be literally right next door those competing lights. So that might be something to check out in the meantime, because they'll be right there.
The luminous RGBWs only have a single version of white as well, just 4,000 Kelvin. It's kind of in between. The ones you see at the Circle are probably in the 25 to 28 Kelvin range, very warm, like a candlelight type of feel, which looks nice at night. But they would be drastically different, be a noticeable color difference. So yeah.
Yeah, those luminis in this picture look too bright to me. That looks like a fluorescent light.
Yeah, that's about the same color temperature that they would be in white, is about like a fluorescent.
Right. So
Given
I think another thing we have to look at is maintenance. As far as if one of these go out, are we what's it going to take? Is this a simple screw in, replace the bulb type thing? Or are we looking at taking the assembly and tearing it apart and trying to get a driver for it that we're not going to be able to get in the next 3 years. I think that's another thing we have to look at. We have to look at what the maintenance is and how replacements happen, because these LEDs, despite what they say, how long they last, you're going to get some that are going to fail.
Ms. Perry?
I think about all the times we've talked about the relative limited budget. And I'm hearing now that perhaps some of our council members would not be opposed to have white only. And I would assume, and maybe I'm wrong, but that white only lights would probably be less expensive. I mean, I'm sure you can go from $2 to $2,000. I get that, but that we could find some nice ones in the sweet spot of the money we have to spend.
So I mean, we've had a long discussion here, and I think we're not ready to approve the motion, but with additional, if everybody wants to, it looks like everybody's doing research on their phones, so as you do research, you can come back. We don't want to do it here. And we also have 2 council members that aren't here. So possibly for the next meeting, we come with more information. If we're able to get some samples, that would be great. And any additional
samples, case studies. I don't know, like, did somebody else install this somewhere that we can, if it's close, cool. If it's not, can we I'll call their council and be like, hey, do you guys hate these lights? Like, that would be nice. I mean, I had Copilot here compile a side-by-side summary of all 5 of these, and I guess I'm also curious, like, what was our rough budget for lighting? Do we know? Like, what were we aiming for?
25. 25?
25K?
No,
Oh, that includes engineering costs and that.
it's gonna be a bigger number. I mean, if you subtract out poles, if poles are different. It's 200K lighting.
So I'm asking, so, 325 minus the poles, minus the labor, minus the engineering, whatever, like, roughly, what are we left over with? Like,
I mean, it's a.
We can get all this information. I feel like we're talking in circles.
Right, yeah, so I'd like to.
Let's just.
Yeah.
get this information.
Phones down, enough of the research, so let's table it till our next meeting and get some more information. Especially whatever you're able to do, Scott, that.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit of direction on kind of where we're at, and like we can really hone in and get as much as you guys need for the next meeting.
Okay.
Sounds good.
It'd be nice if the vendor could come in, answer questions directly about their product.
Whatever you're able to do, Scott. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Contello?
No, that is all. I will just close it off by saying, I mean, yes, we have limitations on our budget regardless, but a reasonable amount for this. And just a general reminder, this was all grant money. We don't have any match. So whatever we spend it on, it is not coming out of our budget at all. So, have fun looking at lighting over the next 2 weeks. And share any questions in advance if you have them. I think the more we know that people are curious about in advance, the better we'll be able to have information on hand right after the 4th of July, as much as is feasible. So that's all for my report.
Thank you, Ms. Contello. Communication and Recreation, Mr. Wozniak.
Okay, so the 4th of July celebration in the park is scheduled for Saturday, June 4th from 5 p.m. and will end after the fireworks.
July.
Bands. I say July. Sorry about that. Bands will include Mingo Creek and Wiggins. Activities will include a balloon artist, face painting, airbrush tattoos, and inflatable obstacle course, a juggler, stilt walker, and bobble house. Some giveaway items include glow sticks, necklaces, and temporary tattoos. We may even be greeted by a historical character or 2, and food trucks are being planned. Also, the 4th will be kicked off by a 5K run in the morning, John Oliverio will give more details about the run during his community announcements later in this meeting. The Fall Festival is scheduled for Saturday, September 26th from noon till 6 p.m. with Mingo Creek confirmed as entertainment. Planning is underway for food trucks and vendors with axe throwing, balloon art, and face painting confirmed. Proceeds from the pup parade will be donated to a charity, and a petting zoo is being considered. More details coming on that. A 21 and over Halloween mini golf night is planned for October. More details will be coming on that as well. The celebration of lights will be held Saturday, December 5th, centered around the Borough building this year, but the park will still be decorated and possible local business participation may be included. The holiday house tour is scheduled for Sunday, December 6th, with each rec board member asked to secure at least one participating house. The Steelers play that day at home, but it's an evening game that starts at 8:20 p.m. So the ongoing events include mini golf through June, from June through September on Fridays and Saturdays, and yoga in the park on Saturdays at 11 a.m. However, there will be no yoga on the 4th of July. The Crafton newsletter was mailed out this month to Borough residents. Regular publications are scheduled for February, June, and October through the year. And so remember, articles are due 6 weeks prior to that. So that's it for now. Any questions? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wozniak. Board Commission recruiting, Ms. Compitello.
Yes, current open positions, as always, you can find our positions. Those that are open, those that are filled, those that are upcoming, you can see everything on our website, craftonborough.gov/boards commissions. We do have a seat on the Recreation Board that is open. It's a 4-year term. It will expire in February of 2030. Recreation Board has a lot going on, so please consider applying for that one. The Civil Service Commission, there is one 6-year alternate seat. That term will expire in 2032. And there's also a 6-year regular seat that is going to begin July 1st. So that's just about to open. We're already taking applications for that. So we would really like to see some applicants for the Civil Service Commission. We need to fill 2 seats, a regular and an alternate. And then third, we have an open seat on the Planning Commission. This is a 4-year term. It's on ongoing term because it was vacated. So it's already partway into that 4-year. That means it will expire in 2028. We have been conducting interviews for that. We've had a lot of interest. That application's still open until we do make a decision. But we have had a lot of applicants. So if you want to get your name in, do it soon. And then those are the open ones, but we do have upcoming in 2026. We have another rec board position that will become open in September. It'll be a 4-year term. So an open seat on the rec board and another one coming up soon. So please consider joining the rec board. And that's all for boards and commissions.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Compitello. The COG, Mr. Wozniak.
Okay, this past meeting was held on the Gateway Clipper. There was a very short meeting right before the event started. There will be a break during the summer, and once the notes are published from this past meeting, I'll be sure that I put them on a OneDrive and give everybody an email that they've been posted.
Thank you, Mr. Wozniak. All right, community announcements. We have our next council meeting on Thursday, July 9th at 7. We do have a substitute part-time crossing guard for Crafton Elementary, and you can apply on the website for that position. It's been open for a while. You can buy Crafton Pool. Season passes are available online. Our 4th of July celebration, Mr. Wozniak went through all the details for that. Again, it starts at 5 o'clock with fireworks at 9:45. The Crafton Performing Arts Summer Music Series will start on our next council meeting, and they begin on July 9th at 7:30 in Crafton Park. And then lastly, we have the Crafton Heritage 5K Thomas J. Witt Memorial Run Walk. That is Saturday, July 4th at 8 a.m. It is a race, but also casual walkers can participate. In addition, on the day before, Friday, July 3rd at 6 o'clock, there is a pre-race pep rally that is free. And that's through at Cafe 412 events. And you have to apply online to attend both of these. So make sure to do that. There's limited seats for the pep rally. Great. Public comment. So at this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Council has the option to respond or not at the end of the address. Our solicitors are assigned timekeeper. Please state your name and physical address for the record. So anybody here, please raise your hand. Who'd like to speak? Karen?
Karen Tomcat at Park Street.
Jill?
You want to move the mic a little closer to your mouth. That should do.
I just have a couple of things. One thing I wanted to know, I don't know if you were aware of North Linwood. Because of the work on North Emily, the contractors are directing people to drive up North Linwood. There's no traffic people there directing you or anything. They're just driving right up the one-way street. And then either going across Coulter to get to Emily if it's past the work. That was happening all last week. I just wanted to let you know to be aware of that. Another one comment is someone had mentioned speed bumps on Ewing now that it's open. I think that's a great idea. I think that's the way to save people down. Just my opinion. I had a question about the grant money for the parks. When does that expire? I know you'll answer me later, okay. And the other thing I was concerned about the using the money for the brick roads, the $100,000 that you had put aside, using that for the asphalt for this year. I'd just like for you to consider that probably by next year, you'll probably need $200,000 to do that work. And that's it, thank you very much.
Sure. Taking some notes, Karen. Okay. So the North Linwood traffic, I think, was the thing that I had called you about because they didn't have the sign up, and then the people were coming North Emily and the
Okay, I was not aware of that. Okay, I must have missed that call.
Yeah.
We talked about it 2 meetings ago, I think, because I wasn't here last meeting.
No, it was a call that because I noticed it. I think it was, I talked to somebody I know and they fixed it.
Okay.
So the directional
I don't think
thing.
you talked to me.
I don't know.
did.
Maybe
I
don't think it.
No, you know what? I remember people were driving the wrong way down North Emily or something too. Like
They were
2
going
weeks
and
ago.
they couldn't get past.
Yeah, right.
They
Yeah.
had to turn
Yeah, I
around
was not
and
aware
go
of
back.
coming up Linwood until that comment. Yeah,
Right.
I believe it.
They didn't have a choice and they weren't blocking it there.
I mean, that is.
We'll talk to that. We talked to them tomorrow at noon, so, or at 1, so we'll double check that they know that that's unacceptable.
When
But
people-
they're
They're
almost
moved
done with
past that area.
When people see this happening, should they call you or should they
Yeah, they
call
should call
like
me
the
or
police or should they
They should call
call?
me or Mike.
The
Okay.
borough
They
office.
should call the
Okay.
borough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the grant money for the parks, when does that expire?
If I remember correctly, it was awarded last year. I don't think I don't have the date in front of me. I don't-
this year.
It expires this year.
Not for which parks?
Linwood and
Okay, the
Noble.
pool- You said the pool, right?
You said parks.
So Linwood
See, the
and
deal
Noble.
is here. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the pool.
Right.
My bad.
Right. And then the comment about the bricks. Okay. All right, anybody else? Anybody online, please raise your hand. All right, with that, it is 8:49. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
You.